The wind howled across the lonely plains of Arizona as dusk painted the sky in bruised shades of orange and purple. A single house stood there, made of rough timber and silence, the kind that wraps itself around a man's heart when he's lost too much. Ethan Cole sat on the porch, a coffee mug cooling in his hands. Inside, his 6-year-old daughter, Lily, hummed softly as she played with her rag doll. The sound of her voice was the only warmth in his life since Emily, his wife, had died 3 winters ago. The ranch was quiet, the kind of quiet that comes after years of sorrow. Ethan had learned to live with it. He'd learned to keep his heart still. Until that night. From the far edge of the field, a faint sound broke through the wind. The steady rhythm of a horse's hooves. Slow and uncertain, Ethan's instincts flared. No one traveled this road after dark. He set his mug down, his hand brushing the revolver on the table. The figure appeared through the mist, a woman, swaying slightly, one hand clutching her arm. Her clothes were torn, dusted with red earth. She had long black hair braided down her back, and beads of color glimmered faintly around her neck. When she reached the porch, she looked up. Her eyes, dark, sharp, and tired, met his. "I need water," she said, her voice rough, trembling. Just for a moment. Ethan hesitated. Her accent was unmistakable, Apache, and in these parts that was enough to stir trouble. He'd heard stories. Soldiers hunting, settlers whispering. Fear lived in every corner of the land. But when he saw the blood seeping through the cloth wrapped around her shoulder, something inside him, something human, pushed the fear aside. He nodded. "Come in." She stepped inside slowly, her boots leaving a faint trail of dust on the wooden floor. Lily peeked from behind the table, wide-eyed and curious. "This is Lily," Ethan said gently. "My daughter." The woman knelt, her movements careful despite the pain. She smiled softly. "Hello, little one." Lily tilted her head. "Are you hurt?" The woman nodded faintly. "A little. I'll be fine." Ethan fetched a jug of water and a clean cloth. As she drank, he caught sight of faint bruises along her neck, signs of struggle. When she noticed him looking, she turned away, ashamed. "You're far from home," he said. "I had no choice," she whispered. "Name?" "Ayana," she replied. "It means eternal blossom." Ethan studied her face, and the sadness etched. There wasn't from just one night's suffering. It was the kind carried by those who've seen fire, loss, and betrayal. He cleaned her wound quietly. She flinched once but didn't pull away. "Who hurt you?" he asked. Her eyes met his again, guarded like a wolf cornered. "It doesn't matter. I just need to rest for the night. By morning I'll be gone." He could have said no. He should have. But something about her voice, that quiet strength beneath the fear, made it impossible. "Fine," he said. "The barn's warm enough. I'll set some blankets." Ayana's lips parted as if she wanted to thank him, but the words never came. She simply nodded. That night, as the wind battered the windows and Lily slept peacefully, Ethan sat awake by the dying fire. Through the window he saw her silhouette in the barn, sitting upright, staring at the stars. He wondered what she was running from. The next morning, Lily's laughter woke him. He walked out to find Ayana sitting on the grass, braiding flowers into Lily's hair. The sight did something strange to his heart, something he hadn't felt in years. He tried to look stern, but Lily's giggle melted his effort. "Papa, look. Miss Ayana makes pretty flowers." Ethan smiled despite himself. "She does, huh?" For a brief moment, Ayana laughed, a sound soft and broken but real. It filled the morning air like sunlight after a storm, but as the hours passed, her smile faded. From the distance came the faint echo of horses, too many for travelers. Ethan's expression hardened. Ayana froze. She stood abruptly, her face pale. "They found me." "Who?" Ethan demanded. Her voice cracked. "Soldiers. They think I helped my people attack a white settlement. But I didn't. I swear on my life. I didn't." Ethan's chest tightened. He knew this land's cruelty, how truth was easily buried under hate. "You can't stay out there," he said finally. "Hide in the cellar. Go now." She hesitated. "You'll risk yourself?" He met her eyes firmly. No one deserves to die running. For the first time, she looked at him not as a stranger, but as someone she could trust. She vanished into the cellar just as the soldiers arrived, dust rising in the air. Ethan stepped onto the porch, heart pounding. The officer in front dismounted, eyes sharp. "We're looking for an Apache woman, dangerous. You seen anyone?" Ethan shook his head. "No one comes this far, Captain. Just me and my daughter." The officer narrowed his eyes, scanning the yard. For a moment, Ethan thought it was over, that they'd search, find her, and kill them both. But then the captain spat on the ground and motioned to his men. "Let's move. She won't get far." When the sound of hooves faded, Ethan went to the cellar door. Ayanna stood there in the shadows, trembling, not from fear but from relief. He reached out his hand. "You're safe now." For the first time, she took his hand. Her fingers were warm, fragile, human. "Why?" she whispered. "Because I know what it's like to lose everything," he said softly. "And I don't want you to lose more." That night, when the fire burned low, she sat near him, not saying a word. Silence spoke for them both. Outside, the storm had passed. But inside that small house, something new had begun. Something tender, forbidden, and fragile. Neither of them said it aloud, but they both knew. The one night she'd asked for had already changed everything. The sun rose slow and golden, spilling over the hills and setting the valley aglow. For the first time in years, Ethan woke not to silence but to the faint sound of humming, soft, delicate, and full of life. He followed the sound to the kitchen. Ayanna stood near the stove, her wounded arm wrapped neatly, stirring a pot of stew with her good hand. Lily sat nearby, grinning from ear to ear. "She says her tribe makes soup with corn and herbs," Lily announced proudly. Ethan leaned against the doorframe, watching them. Ayanna's braids shimmered in the sunlight, loose strands framing her face. Her expression was calm now, but her eyes still carried the weight of someone who never knew rest. "You didn't have to cook," Ethan said quietly. She smiled faintly. "I owed you a meal, for saving me." "You don't owe me anything," he said. "But thank you." Their eyes met, and for a moment the air between them stilled. There was something there neither could name, a warmth neither had planned to find. When the meal was done, Lily ran outside to chase butterflies, and Ethan sat with Ayanna by the window. "You'll need to leave soon," he said reluctantly. "They might come back." Ayanna nodded. "I know," but neither of them moved. Outside, the land stretched endlessly, as if daring them to run, to hide, to live. She broke the silence first. "Do you ever miss her?" Ethan blinked. "Every day. Emily was my anchor. Losing her felt like losing myself." Ayanna looked down, her voice soft. "Then you know what it is to lose your home?" He turned toward her. "They took it from you, didn't they?" Her hands tightened on her lap. "My husband was a warrior. When soldiers came to take our land, he fought back. They called him a savage. They killed him, and blamed me for what came next. I ran before they could hang me. I've been running ever since." Ethan's jaw clenched. "You didn't deserve that." She gave a small, bitter laugh. "Deserve has no meaning where hate grows." For a long time, neither spoke. The fire crackled softly, and Lily's laughter floated from outside, like a melody of innocence untouched by history. Then Ethan said, "You can stay here. At least until it's safe." Her eyes widened. "Ethan, you don't understand. They'll come again. If they find me, then they'll have to go through me first." Ayanna stared at him, heart pounding. She'd met men who wanted her tribe gone, men who looked at her with anger or pity. But this man, he looked at her like she was human again, like she was seen. Tears shimmered in her eyes, but she blinked them away. "Why would you risk everything for me?" Ethan looked at her for a long moment. "Because I think you were sent here for a reason." That night the wind shifted again, heavy, uneasy. Many. He rushed to the porch. Torches flickered in the distance. Soldiers again. "Ayanna," he called, running back inside. "They found us." Her face went pale. "Lily." "She's hiding in the cellar," Ethan said, grabbing his rifle. "Stay behind me." But she stepped forward. "No, I won't let you die because of me." He turned to her sharply. "You think I can watch them take you? Not after everything you've been through." The first gunshot tore through the air. Ethan fired back, hitting one of the torches. The firelight sputtered. Voices shouted from beyond the fence. "Give her up, Cole." The captain roared. "She's a murderer." "She's innocent." Ethan shouted back. Ayanna clutched his arm. "Ethan, stop."
"They'll kill you?"
"Then let them try." The soldiers advanced, but just as they neared, something changed. From the ridge above the valley came a second sound, the cry of eagles. The thundering of hooves, a small band of Apache riders appeared, led by an elder. They surrounded the soldiers swiftly. Chaos erupted. Shouts, smoke, fear. In the confusion, the captain aimed at Ayanna. Ethan lunged, the bullet grazed his shoulder, spinning him to the ground. "Ethan!" she screamed, dropping beside him. Blood stained his shirt, but he grinned faintly. "I told you you weren't leaving alone." Her tears fell onto his cheek. She pressed her forehead to his. "Don't you dare die." He laughed softly. "Not when I just found a reason to live again." The soldiers fled, outnumbered and broken. The Apaches vanished back into the hills. When the dust settled, silence returned, heavy, sacred. Ayanna tore part of her dress to bandage his wound. Her hands shook. "You're safe now." "You're safe?" Ethan caught her hand. "Stay," he whispered. "Please don't run anymore." She froze. "You don't know what you're asking." "I do," he said. "Stay with me, with us. You belong here if you want to." For the first time in years, Ayanna allowed herself to dream. No fear, no running. Just the sound of Lily's laughter, the warmth of a fire, and a man who looked at her without hate. "I want to," she whispered. Ethan smiled weakly. Then it settled. Weeks passed. The ranch healed, as did they. Lily adored her Aunt Ayanna, and laughter filled the rooms once hollowed by grief. Sometimes, when the sunset bathed the fields in gold, Ethan would catch Ayanna standing on the porch, the wind in her hair, her face turned toward the horizon. "Thinking of home?" he'd ask. She'd smile softly. "No, I'm already there." He'd slip an arm around her shoulders. "Then let's make it last." And in that moment, two broken souls, from two worlds that once hated each other, finally found peace. The land still carried scars, but love had claimed its own piece of it, quiet, enduring, and eternal. Love can bloom even in the ashes of pain. Sometimes the people we're meant to meet find us when we least expect them. If this story touched your heart, don't forget to subscribe, because more powerful stories like this await you, stories of love.